I was waiting and waiting and waiting to watch the Age of Disclosure documentary before I did this episode. I was very disappointed. I didn't finish it, but I watched about half and I was so disappointed in what was supposed to be a groundbreaking, earth shattering documentary. Anybody that's been following the topic that we're going to discuss on this episode, the Intrusive Thoughts podcast, this episode is about UFOs. Anybody who's been following anything that has to do with UFOs, you don't need to watch that documentary. That documentary is pretty much UFOs for dummies. So if you're trying to get into the space, if you want, it's a good first introduction, I guess, if you want to really start getting into it. Start from there and follow all the people that were on there and their paths and their podcast interviews and but if you're where I'm at, you've already seen all that. You've already done all that. You've already heard all that. So with that being said, this whole disclosure thing that has to do with UFOs, I'm just gonna based on all the stuff that I've watched and all the stuff I've listened to, all the clips and all the tweets I've seen and everything. These are just this is my top 5 and bottom 5 when it comes to credibility. Even go as far as their body language. These people, they're in my top 5. I just think it's very hard to think that they're lying, at least from my perspective. If they're in the bottom 5, something's off. Something's off somewhere, somehow. Maybe there's a little truth to what they're saying. Maybe there's a lot of truth to what they're saying. But they are deceiving just in the way that they portray themselves. So, without further ado, here's the actual second episode of the Intrusive Thoughts podcast. UFOs Disclosure. Next.
I've been drifting through my mind where the silence talks. Stars fall slow in my intrusive thoughts. City lights flicker, heart sinks with the plot. Reality bends when the questions start. I hear echoes of the truth and distortion and bass. See reflections of the void when I look in my face. Every word, every pose, just a code in the fog. I'm a mirror for the madness and I talk to God. Intrusive us. They whisper, they twist, they nod. Intrusive us.
Is the Intrusive Thoughts podcast.
So here we go. If you've been following UFOs for as long as I have, you were probably introduced to it by the one and only Bob Lazar. His episode on the Joe Rogan podcast that I'll link below is, I believe, Joe Rogan's most viewed podcast out of the hundreds, thousands of huge episodes that he's had. It's the most viewed. I recommend you guys watch it. It's incredible. He is the reason why we know what Area 51 is. He's the one who disclosed it before anyone even knew it existed. I just think he's had a consistent story for about 40 years. I don't understand how he would be lying, why he would be lying. He hasn't monetized any of it. He's very anxious. There's some things that he said behind closed doors that I don't know what it is, but apparently it makes the story even more credible. He knew the people at Area 51. Maybe some of his records are a little fishy, but there's some explanations to that. It could be CIA involvement. It could be a lot of things. But I just think, listening to him talk, I don't know, unless he's a complete psychopath. Listening and watching him talk, I've watched that episode itself multiple times, and I've also watched many other interviews. He has to be telling the truth. It makes too much sense. Compartmentalized reverse engineering. why, like, you can't have the people working on, like, you can only have a few people that are working on the entire project to know about each part. The more people that know, the less secret it is. So it's like, if he was poached as a, like, creative engineer that could help them with a different mindset that thinks outside the box, I think that's plausible. I mean, he put like a jet engine on one of his cars. Like, these things are facts, and I just think you have to start there when you talk about UFOs. A lot of the things he said years and years and years ago are proven to be true. More and more are proven to be true. More of the stories align with some of the details he gave. I just think you have to start there when it comes to UFOs. He never saw a being. I mean, he said he might have seen a being, but he never like had an interaction with a being or an abduction. Those are always fishy. Those are always like, is that a dream? Like Joe Rogan recently had a dream. He doesn't even know if it was such a real dream that it might not have even been a dream. Is that what abductions are? But anyways, like Bob Lazar, he's not a perfect person, but he is the perfect person if you want a little bit of information to leak out from. Like, you could discredit him very easily, is what I'm saying. Like, so I think, like I said, you have to start there. But speaking of abductions, Travis Walton is another person that I'd go directly to, even though I just said abductions are like fishy or whatever, and it's hard to tell like if they're real, if they're fake, like if the people are mentally okay, like whatever. But he is such like a, I don't know. When you just see like an old guy that just like, he just minds his business. He just like seems like such a genuine soul. He might tell you to like fuck off to your face, and you might think he's mean, but like he's just he wears everything that he's about on his sleeve. That's kind of like how I feel about Travis Walton. He was a guy that he was a logger, and there was a craft, and he ran towards a craft, and it like knocked him out. And then he was inside the craft, allegedly got abducted, but he's saying that they just healed him. And when he was in real life, in our life, he was gone for like 4 days. He comes back, he's lost a ton of weight because he hasn't eaten. He has a beard. He was like pretty much clean shaven when he got abducted. He has a beard, and I think he has a scar from when they did the surgery or something, or whatever they did to him. But he was dehydrated, and all the people that he was logging with, they all were like a witness to it. They all like, I think, took a polygraph, and they all like confirmed the story. One of the guys he literally got into a fight with, and like they did not like each other, and he still confirmed the story. Like, why would you confirm it? Why would you go along with somebody's lie and if you hate that person? So that doesn't make sense. Somebody that he was with ended up getting cancer in his arm, the arm that was facing the UFO, like in the direction of the UFO. I'm pretty sure they got skin cancer or some form of cancer. You could say it's all a coincidence, but he just seems like a genuine guy, a solo act. All these podcasts he goes on, he's not with people that are coercing him. He's representing himself. There's a movie about him. Like he's made a little bit of money off it, but he just seems, I don't know. He just seems like a guy that I would believe, and I don't think there's any ill intent coming from him. It's just sometimes you have to go off of those feelings because like there's so much information out there. If you believed everybody, then you wouldn't know what to think of the topic. But I just think like sometimes you just gotta use your sixth sense, and I just kind of feel like he is such a genuine person, and that's why I think he's in my top 5 of credibility. I mean, a lot of these guys are, connected to the government or whatever. The first two guys really aren't. And that's another reason why they're so credible, because I think once you're connected to an agency or a government or whatever, a group, you're always somewhat loyal to them in the end. I mean, I've watched a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies. It's like, you're never out. Like, you're never out. It's hard to believe those guys. As I say that, the next guy something about this story just seems so real to me. Michael Herrera, I forget if he was just like special ops in the government. I mean, whatever you want to call it, Marines or whatever he was, some sort of military special ops project whose dad told him on his deathbed that I forget exactly what it was. It's been a while. He has this really good episode on the Sean Ryan podcast, and it's like his story connects to another story that comes out later about, if you've seen Jake Barber, who was a big guy like a few months ago, talking about, maybe even a year ago, talking about like secret programs and retrieving UFOs, and he does like the Sky, I want to say it's called Sky Watcher, and it's like, it's all connected, and this guy's story is so crazy, and like his emotions when he's on the Sean Ryan podcast, and like the details, just the little details. His story's believable. Whether or not it happened exactly the way he tells it, I don't know. But Michael Herrera, I'll link his Sean Ryan episode below. Travis Walton, he has a bunch. You could just type in Travis Walton, and I'm sure a good interview will pop up. I'm going to try to link below some podcasts I'm referring to, just because I'm not going to explain every little detail. I think it's really important for people to do their own research and go out and listen and whatever. But yeah, so I'll link that one below. He's connected to Stephen Greer, he's a big polarizing figure in the UFO world. I think Stephen Greer's done a lot of good stuff. I think a lot of the things that come from him are very believable, but some of them are just like, you can't be right about everything. So that's where I stand about him. My next one, so we've done Bob Lazar, Travis Walton, Michael Herrera. Really recommend. The next one is not really a person, but a case. And it's the case in Varginha, Brazil, where there was a crash landing, beings sighted running around the city, and one of the beings got injured and was like brought to a hospital. That entire hospital wing was shut down for the time being for whatever construction or whatever they said. It was a smell that ran through the city that was like sulfur. And the thing about sulfur and a lot of the other similarities that have to do with this case is that like it really lines up with like the religious description, I guess, of like the devil or demons, like sulfuric smell. They had big red eyes. They had 3 toes or whatever. They had like, what is it called? Like clothed feet or whatever. Like this story seems very real, and James Fox did an entire documentary about it. It's called Moment of Contact. I recommend everybody watch it. It's probably the best documentary about UFOs or aliens I've watched. And yeah, like he goes there. He's been working on this for a while. I'm pretty sure he's coming out with a second one. This case is really hard to deny. He talks to like a bunch of people throughout Brazil and the Brazilian government, and like, the US apparently came in and took, how we do. So like it's very good. It's very convincing. I But like, we'll get into this later, but that kind of contradicts like how I really feel about what they are. But we'll get to that a little later. Anyways, the last person I'll say that's in my top 5, just, I don't know if it's like old people themselves, but Jacques Vallée, he's like a French, I don't really know exactly what he is. I want to say like scientist, but that's a very broad term. But he's like some French guy, very old, who's been around all the people that I think are credible and a lot of the people that I think aren't credible. And it's like, he's been around the block. I think he knows some things. I think if you listen to his words carefully, he's slick, and I think he reveals a lot. He's kind of in that group with like Hal Puthoff and like those guys, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about Jacques Vallée himself who, like, he's like a little mysterious. He's like, I feel like he's very, very genuine when he talks as well. I don't have a specific link that I'm going to put to him, but I will put the link to the Moment of Contact documentary if people want to watch it. Jacques Vallée, he has books, he has papers, he has like a lot of things that you could look up and read. I mean, I haven't really read into it that much, but just like him as a person, I believe him whenever I hear him talk, or whenever I hear somebody reference him or something he says, I believe it. So it's like, yeah, that's Tristan. So that's my top 5. Those guys, I mean, there's a lot of people and things that I believe outside of those guys, but if I were to like tell somebody why I believe UFOs and UAPs are like a legit thing, and it's pretty much a fact at this point, but it's like, why go listen to these people and watch these things, you know what I mean? Like, go, and you can't tell me that you don't believe any of it. That's what I'll say. So bottom 5, I'm not going to get into too much. It's just like, people, I don't know, people, you can just tell when people are like fake, or they seem fake, or they're doing it, it's all an act, or they're doing it for publicity, or they're doing it for fame, or they're doing it for whatever. These guys just give me that little itch. Like, anyways, let's get into it. Bottom 5, Whitley Strieber. He's like the reason why we have like he I guess like gave us a description of like the gray of like what we think an alien prototypically looks like. I mean, he's just kind of like too confident. He says he had this crazy sexual experience. He said he has like an implant in his ear that people can feel, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know what that really is. He says that they can like tap in anytime they want. He has constant contact with them. Like, he writes books about it, movies. He's too confident. He's too like artsy about it, in my opinion. Like, something about him. I don't believe something happened, but I mean, I don't believe something didn't happen, but like whatever he's saying is extremely exaggerated and like just so dramatic. I just wouldn't look to him as like, I mean, he is one of the big names in the world, and a lot of people like start with his stuff. I think it's called the Companion or something like that. I can't think of it, but if it were me, I wouldn't tell somebody to go look up Whitley Strieber. I just don't get it. Mike Masters is like some PhD doctor who's like an anthropologist, I think, and he's his theory is like that the aliens or the UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, could be future humans. I like his theory, right? But he also has like a story where he like was at this party and he went out, somebody wanted to talk to him, and it was actually like an alien, and he was like downloading information, and he passed out, and he woke up, and he this and he that. I just like, dude, your theory's good. That's why you're on all these podcasts. The whole like interaction thing, it's just like very hard to believe those things. Like an alien tapped into like this person that he knew, and they had a telepathic like conversation and download of dude, I just too much. I would look at his theory, because like his theory about them being future humans is very, very good. I think it's like it could be something, but when it gets to his abduction thing, I wouldn't even bother. The next, I think his name is Greg Braden. I know it's Greg. I call him Greg with the hair, but Greg Braden, I think. He seems just like a little bit too Hollywood. He has a lot of good things that he says, but I saw a podcast kind of recently where he was kind of like being challenged on a lot of his points, and they were kind of like not right. So like when he talks, it seems like very, very right. Like it seems like oh, he seems believable, but like then he got a lot of pushback, and he kind of was like stuttering and couldn't like really back up his points that well. So it's just like, is he just like a paid actor? Like, I don't know. Like, he just says a lot of things that sound good and sound interesting, and his hair's all poofed up, and it's like, I don't know. I do like a lot of what he says, but something about it seems too Hollywood to me. I'll link his episode to I think Danny Jones, maybe even Joe Rogan, maybe both. I'll link both of them down low. I do think they're a very good listen. The next one, for a long time I believed some sort of it, but Chris Bledsoe, he's the one that alleges that like there'll be a, what's it called, awakening by next Easter of 2026. He has like connection to orbs. Like he could allegedly make orbs come out of nowhere, which the orbs are attributed to like UFOs or aliens or angels, whatever you want to call it. He's in with like some like very suspicious people that have to do with like NASA and stuff. So I don't know if like they know how to like summon whatever these orbs are, or if they are just like controlling the orbs themselves. But it just seems too manufactured. The connections with that and religion, like Chris Bledsoe is a very religious person. It seems like it could be like some sort of religious propaganda to keep, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep, but like to keep the faith in Christianity and not have like UFOs or AI or whatever be the new religious like thing that people gravitate towards. I don't know, but the whole thing is just like too much. It's an interesting like thing to look into. He has a book called UFOs and Gods, I think. Definitely should check out his episode on Sean Ryan. His kids go on episode. I think Sean Ryan and Danny Jones he was on. I'll link those. Those are some of the best watches I've seen. Like, it's very interesting. It's just, all this stuff is interesting, but you just have to use your intuition and your gut to try to decipher what's good and what's bad. And then you formulate an opinion, and that's just what I'm doing here. The last one is Lou Elizondo. He is the voice of the Age of Disclosure. His dad was in the CIA. He literally says he like still works in some capacity for the government. Like he's always in DC. Even if he's sprinkling some truths out there, there's no reason to go towards somebody like that for information. And like him and Stephen Greer are not on good terms, and I do think if I were to side with one, I'm siding with Stephen Greer. But you can find him, literally, Lou Elizondo, everywhere. I'm not linking anything of his below. Just type him up. he'll pop up. Just the way he talks just seems very like it's scripted. It just feels off. Like, I don't know. I don't trust anything like that. But speaking of Age of Disclosure, I just want to, like, off the rip, I just want to give my thoughts. And, you know, it was too produced, too Hollywood. Seemed like the director, Dan Farah, got the okay from the government and whatever to release this. It doesn't seem like he took much of any risk on this. It's like everything, like I said, UFOs for Dummies, it's not as authentic, and it's a lot of what we already know. That being said, I do think you could pick some things out of there that are interesting, but like not really. And it just feels way less authentic than Moment of Contact, which again I recommend to everybody. Jay Stratton just seems too scripted in the Age of Disclosure. I can't stand Lou Elizondo. I just can't. Eric Davis seems a little off, seems a little fidgety. Like, I just, like, these guys, I just can't trust. I would never trust any of them with my life. Like, I would never. It's just too theatrical in general. I'm curious to see if these younger or like lesser known government officials that appeared in the film, I'm curious to see if their careers escalate, like with the more disclosure that's coming out, because then that would tell me a lot of what I need to know. That would be very, very interesting. But yeah, like, I didn't finish it. I literally paid for it. It was like $16.99. I used a discount to get it down to like $4. I paid for it. I wasted my time, wasted my money, wasted my discount. I'll just say that. So where I stand on the whole thing, so I say all that stuff I said before to give you, based on like all the information I've looked into and I've heard and I've seen and I've dove into. This is where I stand. Also, I have good conversations at work all the time, and it really expands my mind. It makes me think. Here's where I stand with the whole UFO thing. I think whatever they are, there are man-made ones, but there are also, what do I want to say? There are real ones, like, that are not from this earth, and there are man-made ones that maybe we reverse engineered, or we just not reverse engineered, but just made ourselves based on, like, you know, information we got from Operation Paperclip and the Germans and that regime, and they were working on whatever it is. I think both do exist. What makes the most sense is a breakaway civilization that survived a catastrophe, probably a flood, probably a asteroid impact thousands of years ago. Maybe they got off this planet in time to survive, and they're coming back and they're more advanced. So they are descendants, but like also kind of future humans, because their evolution wasn't impeded. Like, they just got to like they had the technology. There's evidence that ancient technologies are way more than what we actually think, like with these tools and stuff. Like, there's evidence that they had some technology that we don't even have today. And if that's the case, they could probably get off this planet in time, like before a catastrophe wipes out the entire civilization. That's just my thought. And if it's not something like that, then it has to, like future humans coming back to make sure we don't destroy ourselves. Then it has to be some sort of like trans-dimensional beings. And what that could mean is, I have no idea. It could mean it's just in our brain, because like, you know, like dream reality, base reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, all these different realities could just be different dimensions. But it's one of the two. It's either like our ancient slash future relatives or transdimensional. I don't really think that there's like another planet out there that's like has like all these aliens and they're just like flying across the universe and just landed on Earth. Like, you know what I mean? Unless like they had some sort of like radiation like detector, and when we set off a nuke, that's when they started to come. I don't know. I don't really believe like that, but they've been around for way longer than we think. Even though they heightened during World War II and nukes and whatever, they've been around forever. So it's either they've always been here or they've always been here, but not in this dimension, like in some other dimension. I'm not really smart enough to break that whole dimension stuff down, but that's just where my mind goes. I do think the most likely spot for bases for whatever these are would be in the water. I mean, could be on the moon, but I definitely think there's stuff in the water. There's just too much evidence. I think the Bermuda Triangle is a product of that. And I think if we don't even know what 70 or whatever percent of the water is, what better place to hide than in there if we can't even go down there? And there's just been so much evidence like of UFO type things in the water, detected in the water, huge mothership type thing. So I think that would be the spot, or the moon. But there's other theories that are a little crazy, like hollow earth and stuff. I'm not saying that's plausible, but I think that's more plausible than an alien coming from planet Yugututu or planet Wawahihi. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to believe, but maybe that's just naive because we don't really know how small we really are and how big the universe really is. So I don't know. I think encounters, like most of them, could just be probes, technology, even AI. Because like besides the Virginia one, where they seem like kind of like real, like biological beings, which I'm not even sure they really were that. It just they all, not only none of them talk, they all have like robotic, like they seem to be described in like robotic movements, or like I don't know, or they have like cybernetics behind their eyes that people have seen when they've been, you know what I mean? Like I just think we send technology to other planets allegedly. If we do that, we send probes and drones or whatever. Why wouldn't a more advanced or even just as advanced civilization do the same thing? It just seems, especially with the whole Zimbabwe encounter at the school of international, whatever, their children, the aliens or whoever came, the beings, said technology is bad. It's like technology is intertwined in the subject some way, somehow, but it's figuring out how that is the issue. And I think with our trends of AI and how we are progressing with our technology, I think it definitely has to do with AI a little bit. And, things like Neuralink and stuff, all this stuff seems like we're trending towards whatever these aliens seem to be. So maybe, like I said, maybe they've always been here, but they survived a catastrophe, to very few of them. Or they are us from the future, and once you create time travel, that time's a loop. Time's always happening at the same time. So if they have that technology, you pretty much have the technology to time travel, and that means maybe they're checking in on us, and maybe they don't want us to destroy ourselves. And I just think like all these things, like angels, demons, souls, gods, devil, aliens, AI, technology, they're all intertwined. They could all be the same thing, theoretically. Like, there was a quote that Jesse Michaels said on one of his episodes, and it was like, the Grush stuff, AI, and technology is like the triangle of truth. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along those lines. And I think that's very true. That's very spot on. Yeah. Also, if they are from another planet, I do think they could just be from Mars. Like, there's a remote viewer that said he remote viewed 1,000,000 BC on Mars, and there were pyramids, and there were structures, and now they find on the surface of Mars high levels of what would be like a nuclear warfare, pretty much. Like, you could detect based on those levels of whatever it is, xenon or something. It could only happen in one of two ways, and the more likely of the ways is like an insane nuclear war or whatever. So it's like maybe they left Mars and came here, and then maybe they left here when we had a catastrophe and went somewhere else, or went to the moon, or went to I don't know. I think there are a lot of stories, a lot of myths, a lot of things that are misinterpreted throughout our history. It just seems more and more likely that this life that we're living is just literally just a puzzle. And I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like every time we find a piece that fits perfectly to the puzzle, it's like a little too big, or it's a little too small, and we find later on it doesn't even fit. It's actually the wrong, like, you know what I mean? I'm just talking, but yeah, so like, what are they? I think they are probably at this point mostly AI. I mean, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of energy beings. I think energy is a really important thing that people don't realize is actually real. But if they're biological at all, I don't think they're 100% biological. Probably some sort of combination of AI tech and artificial biology. And I was having this conversation the other day. It's like, who's to say we're not AI? You think technology is not going to get to a point where they can recreate blood and all the things that are in a human body right now? Like, you don't think that something like this could be created in a lab eventually? Eventually. Why they would do it, I don't know. But eventually, you will definitely be able to do that. Even beyond that, right? Even if you can't create it, we are just code that is being programmed. That's what we do. That's what growing up is. Depending on the people we grow up with, our family, the people that we hang out with, the things that we watch, how we're influenced, we get shaped, and literally, it's like we're a mouse and there's a maze, right? There's only one ending, but there's multiple routes to that ending. It's like we think we can really be whoever we want, but I think it's all enclosed in this box. It's like there's certain lanes. It's like there's certain archetypes of people that it's like there's not as many as you think. Like, it's nice to think that everybody is different. I'm going on a tangent. It's nice to think that everybody is different, but if you really just take a step back and look at what people value and what people like to do and what people love, and look at the people within those groups, they're all the same. Everybody's the same. Anyways, I think we are trending towards whatever these UFOs or UAPs or beings or whatever are. That's what we're trending towards as a civilization. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that inevitable? I don't know. I don't know. It's not like I could stop it on my own. Um, I think they've been here for a long time before us. They'll be here for a long time after us. Maybe it's who we think of as the gods. Maybe it's, angels. Maybe it's demons. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's, who knows? Time is a circle. It's not linear. I think it's all related. So I've told you, who are they? What are they? When are they? And I want to tell you, how are they? And why are they? How? It's a simulation. It's simple. It's a simulation. History repeats itself over and over again in different ways. Just look at all the religious texts, look at myths, look at whatever. All this stuff is repeating itself over and over and over again. It's, if you've ever seen the show Three Body Problem on Netflix, just that's how I feel this life is. It's like, no matter what, it's gonna come to a point, an end, until we figure out how to defeat it or how to bypass it. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if all these religious texts, all these whatever stories are just breadcrumbs that we have to follow to figure out whatever this thing called life is. So it's like, we need to decode history. We take it word for word, but it's like, it's deeper than that. You just gotta look at all the things that we've learned in school about history that are just not true, or not what we thought it was. Like the pyramids and how they were built, or Christopher Columbus. We had Columbus Day, but we didn't know he killed and raped not millions, or a bunch of, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't really know. We just know what we're told. And it's our jobs to look outside of that. Now, the why is because that's the purpose in life. Everybody has a purpose, but it all contributes to that main goal. And it's our jobs to take the pieces and put it together. And that's what I'm trying to do with this UFO topic. I took all the pieces, hours and probably hundreds of hours of digging into this stuff, whether it's a 3-hour-long podcast or other clips or reading things on Twitter or whatever. It's like, this is me deciphering it for you guys. I mean, I'm going to put the links of all the stuff that not all of it, but a lot of the stuff that I've referenced in this episode. I'm going to put the links below. Hopefully you guys, at least, like, you're bored, you need some background noise, just throw it on. But this is my disclosure of the topic of UFOs. Screw this whole disclosure stuff that's going on with the government, whatever. They're just feeding us the tiniest little pieces of breadcrumbs. I'm trying to give you the whole loaf. So, I hope you guys like this episode. It took me a while because I had to figure out how I wanted to do it. It'd mean a lot if you just left a like, subscribe to the channel, comment below if there's any UFO cases or people that you think I should look into that maybe I haven't. I think cat's out of the bag now. We know UFOs are real, but it's like, what's real about it? And this is my perspective on it all. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I will be back with more. Trust me, 2026 is going to be a big year. So just keep it locked. Peace.